apocalyptic situation. Go ahead.
And we are live, and Sari and I have started talking already. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Welcome to the Thursday, I have to think what day it is, edition of Litvak Leadership Live with my special guest, Sari Utschen. How are you doing today, Sari?
I am blessed. I'm fantastic. What's going on, cuz?
So Sari has been a big support of Litvak Leadership Live. She's also my, and the dogs are barking. I love when this happens like this.
Spontaneous.
Sari is my cousin, and every time I would see her jump on the stream and the show, I would think, well, gosh, Sari has her own business. She's a CEO. She travels the world. She knows everybody, and everywhere where she goes that she doesn't know anybody, she makes friends rapidly and immediately. So I thought, you know what? I need to bring Sari on the show. So she immediately agreed because you're fearless, Sari. We know you are
nothing
fearless.
To be afraid of.
Nothing to be afraid of. Kim Hubbs is here today. Kim's a friend of mine from Canada. He and I are in that same sales group I was telling you about. So we've got people jumping on quickly here because I know Sari's been doing some promotion. Not sure who this guy is, but I bet you know him, Sari. Glenn.
Yes, that's my
Glenn Hallerman, and
we were
got
abroad in
Lori
1984 and
Dunn
85.
here.
Love it, Lori. Hi, Lori.
More
and
family,
bro.
more friends. We got George Henderson here, and want to hear about it. Mina, Sarah. So wait, you're her favorite aunt. Whose child is she?
That's Andrea's youngest daughter, Mina. Hi, Mina.
Mina, I'm your cousin too. So more family going. Okay,
I should introduce you to your cousin. Her name is Mina.
Mina. Okay, so more from Lori, more from Howard, and then Risa Himmelblau. Do you have a cute form? So Risa, I think, is a friend or married to a friend of mine because I know the last name. Okay, so we got lots of people jumping on, and I'll be clicking on them as they say hi. But
love it.
So let's just start before we get into the whole travel thing and, where you were during COVID and how you ended up seeing a bunch of the world and traveling all around. First, tell everybody this. How many countries have you been to?
Let's just say I've been to 43 countries so far.
43
countries. Yes.
And what was the most interesting thing you've eaten in all these countries?
Ooh.
The most interesting piece of food you have put in your mouth and actually swallowed?
Probably in Thailand, I chewed up a couple of scorpions, some fried scorpions. Mm-hmm. It was actually pretty good. It was like kind of crunchy and kind of fun. And I've had all kinds of crazy stuff. I've had like cow brain often. I've had rattlesnake. I'm also a foodie. I have a minor in food and beverage, catering, and special events management. So I'm a big foodie, and my palate is pretty open to almost anything. So I like to live on the wild side. You already know that.
Yeah, I definitely know that. So now, so you talk about how you're a foodie and you are CEO of Culinary Pros in Las Vegas. So why don't you tell everybody a little bit about your business?
Okay. I established Culinary Pros 16 years ago. What we do is we provide professional food service workers, servers, bartenders, chefs, cooks, dishwashers, also like we call it DOC, which is Day of Coordinators for brides to assist with brides. And I also do party consulting as well. So I'm using my degree. I have a minor in food and beverage, once again, special events management. So a bride will call me and I will suggest, okay, go to this venue here, use this DJ. I'll call my DJ and say, hey, you have availability, or you could recommend someone. I'll tell them, okay, use this baker for your cake. I suggest a couple. Sometimes they ask for a caterer, and then I tell them, okay, you're going to need 5 servers, you're going to need 2 bartenders, and a couple scullery dishwasher types. And that's how I make my money. And I established that 16 years ago. I operation manager for a company out of Los Angeles for 6 years prior to that. And I've pretty much been in events. I own my own catering business at a really young age. I've even written a book on how to start a catering business.
Oh,
I ended
wow.
up going to, yeah, I don't know if you knew that.
You know that.
I went to UNLV. I moved to UNLV to finish my education. I told my parents, I'm moving to Vegas. They looked at me and said, are you crazy? So I packed my 2 bags and I moved to Vegas. I got my in-state residency, and I went during the Tarkanian era, you know, when it was all about the basketball team. I had college
Okay.
classes with, you know, Grandmama, Larry Johnson, and a whole bunch of people that were
Wow.
in the NBA back in the days.
Cool. So how has COVID and we know how COVID's affected your business. Tell us about how, you know, you were here and how rapidly it went to here, but you've told me that it's pumping back up now.
Right. So the crazy thing is 2019, my business was up 50% of my sales from the previous year. So we were rocking and rolling. Ironically, I brought in a couple brokers to see what I could get for my business. How crazy was that I thought about selling my business last year? I should have done no. But I just thought to myself, you know, if things are steamrolling and things are going good, you know, why would I, you know, I've already put 16 years into it. It didn't make sense to sell it at the time. I thought about launching some other businesses, and I've always done different things, you know, besides what I do. I'm all about like doing other things too. So fortunately, my brother, you know, taught me a few other tricks on the side of doing other things, and, you know,
And you're a photographer.
income source and that kind of thing. You know, listen, you can never put your eggs. Daddy always said, don't put your eggs in one basket. So
That's right.
boom. So the story it was my dream. I'm a scuba diver. I'm a certified scuba diver. I've been diving since 1992. That was the first time I went diving. I've been certified since 2001. I want to say I've done about 95 dives throughout the world. So it was my dream to go to the Philippines. I've had that dream for about 3.5 years. So I finally said to myself, boom, I'm just going to do it. I bought myself a one-way ticket to Cebu City.
Okay. And when did you do that?
On February 5th, I left through Seattle.
Okay.
And I remember hearing that I needed to buy a ticket to the next destination. So I bought a ticket, but I didn't realize I needed a ticket outside of the country. So I bought a ticket from Cebu to Puerto Princesa, which is Palawan, which is another island, but that wasn't good enough. They wouldn't let me on the plane. So I had an hour and a half to buy myself a ticket out of the Philippines. So I bought myself a ticket from Manila to Singapore. That way I proved to them that I'm leaving the Philippines. So you're not supposed to be in the Philippines more than 30 days unless you extend your visa. So I went, and it was like $174 for the 2 tickets that I bought. I made it happen. So I flew out February 5th, and everybody kept saying, hey, there's this crazy pandemic. And I'm like, it's me, it's Sari. I'm going to live my life. I'm not going to worry about it. And I do want to say that out of my 6 weeks travel, I think I was gone 5 weeks or 6 weeks. I left February 5th, and I came back March 9th. So 5 weeks. Not once did I have to wear a mask. Not once. Is that crazy? Not once. Like when I went through Taiwan to Cebu, Philippines.
And you were in Asia.
Yeah. And every single person at the airport had a mask on. And they were all staring at me like I was crazy. And I was like, no, I'm just. And people would come up to me and say, why aren't you wearing a mask? And I'm like Corona, come on. It was just like, I'm going to live my life. And that was the attitude I had. And that whole plane ride, I was making fun. I was making fun of people that were wearing masks. It was the whole vacation.
But there's no mask police in Asia or anything like that. They just.
So I want to say that Taiwan was one of the strictest countries. So I think a week later, the president did make a mandatory mask mandate, and she was that country had one of the littlest amount of corona cases. So boom. But I was leaving towards Cebu, and then one of the dreams that I wanted to do in Cebu was to swim with the whale sharks, and that was one of my missions. I met this amazing driver. It was so ironic, and then I ended up hiring him for the week to be my driver. I even
Right.
rented a car for him to drive, and then we made our way down south where the sardines. We went to Oslo to go swimming with the whale sharks. That was my dream thing. I could send a video. I'll attach a video later on.
So wait, whale sharks?
Yes, I went swimming with the whale sharks. They're docile.
What?
They're mammals.
What are whale sharks? I've never heard of
What
them.
are whale sharks? Whale sharks. There's those big sharks with the spots on them. You'll have to Google that. And there's such. So I ended up going with the whale sharks twice this year. So when I was in Mexico, by the way, during Corona, I was in Mexico. I went for a 10-day vacation and ended up extending it to 34 days. Me, I would never do that. So I went to this island called Isla Mujeres. And for the second time, I went swimming with the shark. It's just like a dream thing. As a diver, you just love doing, being by sharks. I actually had my they don't bite, they come up to the surface to eat. The ones in Philippines are technically domesticated, and they're a little bit bigger than dolphins, and they're really sweet, sweet creatures. No problems, no issues. And then the ones in Mexico are 3 times the size because they're part of nature and they migrate and have their babies and stuff like that. So they're not. There's a whole controversy over feeding the whale sharks and not in Oslo, but the whole entire town of Oslo, Philippines, it's down south of it. It's all based on the tourism that they get from the people that either swim with the whale sharks or go diving with the whale sharks.
So like these are the whale sharks.
Oh, we're doing it. Yes, they're beautiful. I'm obsessed with them. I bought toys and I bought keychains and sweet, sweet, sweet creatures. Sweet. I mean, I've even seen videos where we weren't allowed to touch them, but there was one that went right through my legs, and I had 1/2 hour to be in the water, and I used every single minute. I just loved it. It's, there's something about the underworld that's so special to me. It's like my Zen place.
You swam with something like this, with this giant
whale sharks. Yeah. Giant. Yeah. I'll send you some videos. Whale sharks are amazing. Fascinating. I love the underworld.
Absolutely. So you're there, you're swimming with the whale sharks, the calendar's moving forward, then what happens?
Okay, so there was a dream location called Boracay. Boracay, it's an island that it was about an hour flight. So I went to Boracay. I found this on the kite surfing side of town. It's this beautiful, beautiful, beautiful island that the president of Boracay closed down for 6 months. Because he's kind of he kind of said Boracay is a cesspool, and he closed down the island because what happened was people were dumping sewer into the water and destroying the ecosystem. So the president, $2 billion, he shut down the whole town, and he made everybody fix everything up. He wouldn't allow chairs on the beach. So you have these white sand beaches, and it was like pollution, and it was like nasty and now there's like no alcohol allowed in it. It's just stunningly picturesque, beautiful. And it was like, I got chills just telling you about how beautiful Boracay. I mean, you must, everyone must experience it. So I did 5 nights. So you literally have to fly to an island. You have to get on a little tricycle. It's like this crazy story. You have to get on a tricycle, and then you take a ferry to the island, and boom, I show up to the island. It ended up being on Saturday. It was a Sabbath, and I'm walking to town, and boom, I run into a whole bunch of Israelis. It ended up being the Chabad rabbi, and it's not even a rabbi, and his wife that were living there, and they invited me to their home. Come eat with us. And it was they adopted me. They immediately adopted me, and I had such an amazing time. And the husband pulled me and says, "It's my wife's birthday is on Thursday. Can you organize something?" And I said, "Absolutely." Boom. I went into town. I went to 8 different places. I decorated this whole entire woman's birthday party. He was in charge of food.
You just met these people.
Yes. We're still in touch. They had this beautiful baby, and I was hanging out with the baby, and we just headed up. Boracay was truly, truly special. So then I went back to Cebu to my adopted family. I rented an Airbnb, and we just had this big party for one night. They got to use the facilities in the pool. And then I flew to Puerto Princesa. That was another island. And I was supposed to do this tour, but the winds were crazy. So I ended up doing a different tour. I went to this place called, you can Google that. It's called Honda Island. Absolutely stunningly beautiful. And then I took this really, really crazy. I got on this $12 van to the next island. I was going to go to a place called El Nido. So I did 2 dives in El Nido. El Nido is absolutely beautiful. It was one of the craziest. Oh, someone just said, I completely agree. Boracay is amazing. Yes, someone was there. George. Oh, yes. Boracay is truly special. And then I had a ticket to go back to Puerto Princesa to fly to Manila. But everyone said, Manila, not so special. If you're a diver, they pointed at me and said, if you're a diver, you need to go to Coron. So I blew off that ticket. I hopped on this crazy ferry. We had to all huddle in this room, and they were inspecting our luggage, and there was and all these dogs, and it's in the middle, everybody, the corona was starting to become, and I saw a lot of people with masks, but they still packed us in this little room. Then we got on this ferry, and I went to Coron, and I landed in Coron, and I was like, this place was amazingly beautiful. Wow. And I checked into my hotel, and they were like, it's this beautiful hotel with 122 rooms. And they said to me I was there for 5 days. They said to me by the 3rd day, they said, Miss Sari, I'm not sure if you're aware of the fact that we only have 2 rooms booked in our whole entire hotel. They said, are you going to be dining with us this evening for dinner? And I'd be like, either yes or no. They were holding the restaurant open because this huge hotel. I had the whole pool for myself, this whole place for myself. Because
you and one other person.
Yes, it was great. It was Corona. They were, Corona, literally Corona, a week or 2 later, everything, got closed. So I bought a last minute ticket. It was $134, and I made myself to Manila for 1 night. And that was a really bizarre experience. All the restaurants. That night that I arrived in Manila, not actually the night that I went to Singapore. So the next day I flew to Singapore. I met a French family at my hotel. We ended up hanging out in Singapore because they were flying to Singapore the next night, and I flew out in the morning. And I ended up going to their hotel that they were staying. And I flew to Singapore right after the Philippines. And then I just did and Singapore was definitely on the money when it came to protection. I would go to this big, beautiful, the Marina Bay Hotel, and they had the scans to see if you had temperature, and they were on it. The hotel that I stayed in, they checked my temperature to make sure I couldn't check in if I had any kind of temperature.
Right.
And and also in the Boracay, they checked my temperature. You had to write a health department, a health slip, that kind of thing. Had an amazing time, and Singapore is absolutely amazing as well. I snuck into Lavo, the club, right on the top of the roof, and had some epic pictures from there. Yeah, it was a $22 cocktail, but it was worth the view. So, and then my plan was, because I bought that one-way ticket, I had nowhere.
Right.
So I found a cheap, my travel partner, buddy of mine, friend, I don't know what you want to call him, he lives in Sweden. So my next destination was Sweden before I wanted to go back to Europe. My Viking, exactly.
Your Viking, yes.
My Viking. So I found a really cheap ticket through Qatar, and I'm thinking, this is going to be interesting. Me in Qatar. I'm checking my passport, make sure I don't have any Israel stamps, which I didn't because it was still fairly new. And then went to Qatar. I ended up being 2 hours in Qatar, 2.5 hours, which absolutely looked beautiful. And I kind of wish I had time to explore Qatar. And then I arrived in Sweden on the March 9th. And then things were starting to really stir up. And day by day, I kept saying, okay. So I bought my ticket to return home the 17th of March.
Right.
So we get a one-way ticket for me to come home because I needed to come home. I was expecting a whole bunch of business in the month of April. We had the NFL draft parties for the business. I had Passover stuff lined up. I had a slew of weddings on May and June. And so I was supposed to fly through Charles de Gaulle. And then I get an email saying, France closed the borders. We have to reroute you. Okay, I get an email. They reroute me through Oslo, through Norway. Boom. The next day, I get another email. Sorry, Norway shut down. We have to reroute you.
Wow.
So if you remember, the last country in Europe, the last country out of Europe to America was England.
Okay.
And do you remember there was a whole bunch of famous people like the prime minister's pregnant wife, and Prince Charles that got corona because they were one of the last countries to close the border.
That's
So
right.
I got rerouted. So I had a flight at 5 p.m. to Gatwick. So I fly to Gatwick and I get on a flight, I think 5:30 p.m. That night, midnight, 11:59, no more flights inbound, outbound out of England. So I literally got on one of the last flights, the last day. I arrived to America because you go back in time from Asia and Europe. And I arrive and I call my operations manager. I said, "What's going on?" She goes, "You don't want to know." She goes, "I don't even know why you left." She goes, "You should have stayed." Everything on the board, we have a board of all our job orders. Everything got canceled. I mean, I had one party for 5 days, two NFL draft parties. It was like $23,000 worth of business canceled. It was, yeah.
Wow. Wow.
So I didn't even tell you, I arrive at LAX.
Right.
They pull me aside because they know where you're coming from. They're not stupid.
Right.
They pull me CDC. 5 people pulled me aside from CDC because I knew I come in from Gatwick, and they start interviewing me. And I was like, "Why am I being pulled aside?" So they interview me and they're filling out this paper. They're like, "Where were you?" I said, "Philippines." They're like, "Okay, check." And then they're like, "I was in Singapore." "Okay, check." And then I said, "Sweden." And then they're like, "Okay." They hand me a postcard and they hand me a booklet and said, "You're on 14-day CDC quarantine, and you need to check your temperature twice a day." And I was like, "Okay." So I get on another flight to Las Vegas. I get home. I do my protein shakes. I try to go to the store to get some milk and bananas. There's nothing. I was like, "What is going on here?" It was like an apocalyptic scene. It was just no stores open. I couldn't get milk. I couldn't get anything. And like this whole toilet paper thing too. Everybody kept talking. Like I tried to get toilet paper in England. I'm like, "Can I get some toilet paper?" Like everyone kept saying, "Bring toilet paper, bring toilet paper."
Yeah.
And nobody had toilet paper. It was so crazy. And then I ended up like I quarantined myself. Listen, I was in Asia. Nobody wanted to be around me. Like my family, nobody wanted anything to do with me because I was in Asia. They were convinced. So I did. I respected the quarantine. I bought a bunch of food. Boom, put myself in quarantine, chilled in my backyard, and it took me 5 days to finally get a test. And then it took 8 days to get the results. So I want to say I was quarantined in my bed, and there was nothing to go to. I mean, there was no business. My business completely flatlined, unfortunately. But I had a feeling like that it would start to pick back up. And my 3 biggest clients, they're still unfortunately closed. And I'm dealing with 19 different caterers, and I'm thinking, I'm lucky if 60 of them will still be in business. And then it's not my style to be locked in. So I snuck off to California a few times. I mean, people have called me selfish, but this is how I get my happy on is my travels.
Right.
And then,
why was it illegal to go from Nevada to California?
it was kind of frowned upon. California was no, it wasn't illegal. They weren't going to stop you or anything. But I mean, there was some, a lot of people were like, I'm like, no, I need my sea. I need my sunsets. So I hung out in Orange County when Orange County was open. And then I hung out in Ventura. And then, I mean, there was just really nothing going on. So I was doing some, I was busy just making income, doing a couple other side things, as I put it.
Right.
And then I was trying to do some marketing. I was trying to get strum up some business, and there was just nobody around. Everybody was furloughed. Like my operations manager ended up being furloughed. Like everybody ended up being furloughed. And I chose with the business not to take the PPP loan because I didn't want to force people to go back to work because there was nothing to go back to. Like Vegas was like a ghost town.
So,
yeah,
but now you told me business is starting to pick back up.
Yes, thank God. Like I held on, and I knew that Vegas is known for Vegas strong and coming back. Like the things that I've been through, between October 1st, today is the 3-year anniversary of the shooting. I don't know if you recall, and
Mm-hmm.
I've been in several weird situations where like 3 bomb threats. I've been in like quarantine dormitories. I've been in. I was in Nice in 2016 when there was a guy that ran over 84 people. I was 300 feet away from what was going on. It's crazy. That's a
Wow.
whole another crazy story. And a friend of my aunt ended up passing away. She got hit on Friday and she passed. That was Bastille Day 2000. That was July 14th. So I happened to be and here I am checking in Nice, and everyone's calling me all night long. Are you okay? Are you okay? We heard about this crazy terrorist activity, and I'm like, I'm fine. So the Viking got cold, and we went running back to get a little jacket. We were right like smack in the middle of all the celebration and the
So what are people saying in Vegas about, opening up and, there's some conventions that are kind of happening. I heard the other day, and I wish I knew the name of it, but there's supposed to be some enormous convention of like 60,000 people in January. What's the word in Vegas? You guys are the entertainment capital of the world.
Unfortunately, our governor has been very strict with everything. They just, I think yesterday or the day before, they're now allowing events up to 250 people. They've gone a little, we're kind of following some of California. A lot of the conventions did get canceled, and that's pretty much destroyed Vegas for now. I think everything like CES, that's Consumer Electronics Show, comes in January. It's probably the one you're talking about. Actually, like last year, I think there was 244,000 people, or the year before was. It's the largest convention in the world. It takes up 17, the convention center plus another, I think 16 or 17 hotels. It's huge. It's, I want to say $2 billion something, or $500 million or something. It brings in huge amount of incomes. So now they're going to do it online. We lost the CES, we lost Life is Beautiful, and EDC is also big. That's the big rave party. There's a lot of events. The Pizza X, a lot of conventions have been postponed or canceled.
Oh, Pizza X! I've got the Pizza Expo. I've got a thing from it that should have happened this year.
Vegas has been hit, but I think things will start trickling in once they start opening things and allow events. They just double the size of the convention center. Vegas was the second hardest hit city in all of the United States. Number one was New Orleans, but that day I arrived, the 17th, they closed down Vegas, and 224,000 people were furloughed, or basically lost their job. That was 10% of our population. We have like 2.2 million people. What we're seeing right now is a mass exodus from California moving here. Like nobody can afford to live in California. Also, jobs, they still have restrictions. They have to, like their hair salons, you got to go outside. There's my sister's a bit, you should speak to my sister too. She's a big realtor in town. She knows what's going on. She's the one that really knows everybody even more than me. Like she'll never forget a face, and we'll go anywhere in the world and my sister will recognize someone. Like someone will recognize her. She's she's like even a bigger macher than I am in Las Vegas. Everybody. Yeah, my sister really knows everybody.
So you call yourself the Queen of Vegas?
Yes.
How did that come about?
So when I was at UNLV, I was the catering director of the Hotel Association. And I was the assistant director the first year, and the second year I was the director. So what we did is I had created this whole thing called Students to the Rescue. So basically it was students that would help out, like they would make a little bit of money. So back in that day, let's say we'd bill out $10, and the students would make $8 an hour. You're talking, 27, 28, 29 years ago. So people would be like, they'd come into the HA office and be like, "What's up, Queen?" So it was always kind of known as like the Queen. So my name, Sari, means princess. I don't know if you know that. If you look up Sari, S-A-R-I, Sherry or Sarai or Suri,
Right,
the
right.
root of that is Shin Resh Hey. It means princess. So now that I'm older, I'm kind of like the queen, and we call my niece the princess. So I've always
Yes.
been kind of known as and my license plate for years has been Queen LV. Like people think, oh, it's Queen of Las Vegas. So people kind of know, what's
Wow.
up, Queen? And, because
You
I
got
have the
to go
staffing
there.
service and all these. Yeah. So people kind of know me, and I do, besides that, I also do other stuff. I also do sometimes tours. I bring, people from all over the world. I show them all kinds of unique places. And I know a lot of facts about Vegas,
Well, and Claudette here says you're a great photographer.
Yes. I have over 200,000 pictures on Facebook. I'm kind of known as the Selfie Queen. I love my photos,
Yeah.
and it's always, we talked about like my dream of like, quitting everything and traveling the world and becoming a travel blogger, 50 plus travel blogger, whether it be solo or with someone. It's just kind of always been my dream to, and I love my travels like that.
You
That's
love
my
your
happy
travel.
place. Yeah. I love,
Yeah.
it's all about the next travels. I'm thinking, next year I want to do the Great Barrier Reef, Australia. It's my dream it's been my dream to take my sister. She's mommy of 5, so it's hard for her to get away. And I really, really, really want to take my sister to Bali in February. Judy. Okay, we need to go to Bali. So just 2 weeks in Bali. She'll go home, and then I'll continue out, maybe Vietnam, maybe Cambodia, and then hang out in the Far East for about a month. That's like, if you're going to go that far, I don't know. There's a reason they call it the Far East. You've ever heard that term? Because it's mother effing far. If you've ever been on a plane to the Far East, it takes forever to get there. There's only so many values. What'd you say?
Sharon said she'll go to Bali.
Sharon.
She said, I'll do it.
I love it. Yeah, it's been my dream to do Bali. Indonesia is supposed to be really, really amazing. I mean, I have a whole bunch of places on my list. I want to discover all of like South America. Now's not the time to be traveling to South America.
Now is not the time. No.
Brazil, Chile. I want to do Brazil. I want to do Argentina. There's a whole bunch of countries in South America that, hey, you never know. I mean, just got to get through this cold, crazy Corona thing.
Yeah, we just got to get through it. But,
right.
I live with the moniker or the saying that life is long. Some people say life is short, but I think life is long, and you just keep making plans, and you just keep working your plans. And then as you're moving forward, you make more plans, and you keep going, you keep going, you keep going, and everything works out.
All my life, I've kind of always like been one of those like excited about the next travel, like whether it be like a convention growing up, or there was always have something to look forward to. My mother, my mom, Rochelle, rest in peace. She did pass away at the age of 54, and I'm 53 now. So like, I always believe in like, I'm going to live my life, and I'm going to enjoy. I'm going to go cliff jumping. I've gone skydiving. I've done bungee jumping, both reverse and regular. I'm my dad thinks I have a death wish. I'm a junkie. I'm a thrill junkie. Like life. My mother went on one airplane ride. She always wanted to go on a cruise. She never went on a cruise. That was like her dream. I've been on 12 cruises. Like, I love my travels. I love meeting people from all over the world. I love learning their other languages, cultures, food. I love like absorbing myself. I've been to Israel 27 times. I lived in Israel altogether 4.5 years.
Unbelievable. Okay. So we could do this for an hour, but
right.
We have gone 32 minutes already. Shockingly. So for a 30-minute show to go 32 minutes, we're definitely on the edge. So in the final 2 minutes that we're going to have here, what do you want to leave people with? What do you want them to walk away with and go, boy, what Sari said, I need to embrace that and do it. What do you want to tell people?
What do I want to tell people? Well, something kind of, feel your blessings, share love, and give it all away. is truly short. You know, I saw shortness of life through my own mother, and here today, gone tomorrow. I could cross the street. You know, you never know what can happen. Live your life and feel your blessings, and definitely go see the world. There's so much. You know, less than 14% of Americans have their passport currently. Pre 9/11, it was only 7%. I say go discover other cultures, other people, and just live your life. Have fun, enjoy, smile a lot.
Smile a lot, and
Yeah.
everything building up to it. Awesome.
Laughter is the best medicine. Laughter, laughter, laughter.
Sari, you have been the most energetic guest I have had thus far on the show. I think
blessed.
You are guest number 18. You are the most energetic guest so far. So yeah, Sharon
I do
here.
events and parties for a living. I better be energetic. You know, I'm there to get their happy on, you know.
You better be. So, all right, everyone,
Wild
this
child.
has been Litvak Leadership Live. And hey, if you know somebody that I should be interviewing, send an email to me. Send an email to interview@Litvak Leadership. Pretty simple. Interview@Litvak, just like my name, leadership.com. I will get that email. If you're interested, continue to watch the shows. You can follow this here on Facebook. You can follow it on YouTube. Sari, I knew inviting you was a great idea. Thank you so much. It was a lot of fun.
Thank you so much for the invite. I enjoyed it. It's such a blast. I love you, cousin. I miss you. Come back to Vegas. Come visit.
I know. I need to come back to Vegas and bring my wife this time.
Super. Let me tell you, you got great rates right now. Come on over. Bring every Vegas.
Bring everybody. All right. Be blessed,
God
everybody.
bless. Take care.